Stop financing terrorism. Join Terror-Free Energy Coalition. Visit www.terrorfreeoil.org.
And finally tonight, a new report is out saying that Islamic Sharia law is gaining an increasing foothold in Great Britain. The director of the Institute for the Study of Islam and Christianity has even gone so far as to say that there is, quote, an alternative, parallel, unofficial legal system operating in the Muslim communities there. But the real story is, most of us here in the U.S. have no idea what Sharia law even is. So tonight, we're going to do a little primer, Sharia Law 101, if you will. But first, I want to start with an exclusive video of an interview with a Saudi Arabian, remember they're our allies, a Saudi Arabian Sharia law executioner that aired on Lebanese television earlier this month. I want you to watch this very closely.
This is the most renowned executioner in Saudi Arabia, who carries out the executions. His sword delineates the border between seriousness and play. There is no negotiating with him once the heads have ripened. When it's harvesting time, he is the most suited for the job. Do you cut off hands, or do you just do beheadings?
Yes. I carry out the punishment of cutting off thieves' hands, as well as the cutting off of a hand and a leg on alternate sides, as is written in the Quran.
Abdallah, when you carry out the punishment of cutting off limbs, do you anesthetize the condemned person, or is it done without anesthesia, like beheadings?
With regard to the cutting off of a hand, or of both a hand and a leg, it is done with local anesthesia only.
Have you ever beheaded someone you knew?
Yes, I have beheaded many people who are my friends. But whoever commits an offense brings it on himself.
A viewer from Riyadh called to ask whether you execute both men and women? Do you execute women? And do you feel anything different when you execute a woman or a man?
An execution is an execution. The difference is that sometimes when you execute a man, he cannot control his nerves and sit or stand straight so that the job can be done.
Dear Mother of God, what are we facing? Paul Marshall is a senior fellow at the Hudson Institute, an expert on Sharia law. What we just witnessed, is this radicalized Sharia law in Saudi Arabia, or is this the regular stuff?
This is a radicalized form. What the Saudis do, you don't find it in many other places.
Okay. Now, what is taking a foothold? What we just talked about, you know, it is starting to spread, and we're starting to see it in places like Great Britain, where there is a subculture, another set of laws that aren't on anybody's books. Is that radicalized Sharia law?
Some of the things happening in Britain are, you know, Sharia can cover everything from how you pray. It deals with divorce and marriage, and then it also deals with murder and adultery. In Britain and in Canada and other places, most of the push for Sharia has been about marriage, divorce, inheritance. But there are now cases in Britain where, in a case of assault, in a case of stabbing, some Muslims set up a sort of their own Sharia court and adjudicated that on their own, and in fact the family of the person who'd done the stabbing paid the family of the person who'd been stabbed, and that's all that happened though.
Is this the same law that is allowing people in Europe, at least in their own head, to get away with honor killings?
It overlaps with that.
First explain that for anybody who doesn't know what an honor killing is.
An honor killing is that if someone in your family has done something shameful, the whole family is ashamed. Let's say your daughter's been going out with a guy you didn't want her to go out with, or let's say one of your family members stopped being a Muslim, became an atheist or a Christian or something. That this brings shame on your family. To get rid of that shame, you have to kill the person.
I find this so frightening. This is the same kind of stuff that correct me if I'm wrong, you're an expert in this, is this the same kind of stuff that leads us to the mass genocide that we see in Darfur?
Yes, in Sudan, in the previous genocide in the south, and now dealing with Darfur, the Sudanese government has received judgments from Islamic jurists that this is in fact a jihad war. It's a war in the name of Islam, and they should proceed like that.
And we are seeing an uptick all around the world. Are we seeing an uptick here in the United States in this kind of understanding? I know I talked to a guy here in New York that was born in New York, and he says this is the answer.
Well, you're seeing it first around the world. 30 years ago, Saudi Arabia was about the only country which did these kinds of things. And now you've got a similar thing in Iran, in Sudan, parts of Pakistan. You're seeing that in Nigeria. Now, in the takeover in Somalia in the last year, the same thing is there. So these very radical extremist forms of law are spreading. And there's certainly some push. It's very weak at the moment.
Right.
But there's some push in the United States to have them.
Paul, we only have a minute left. I want to just rapid fire here. True or false? You tell me if these things are true or not. With radicalized Sharia law, a woman can be accused by one witness of adultery but needs 4 witnesses to say it was not adultery. True or false?
Correct.
People are compelled to go to public beheadings as a spectator sport in stadiums. True or false?
Correct, in Saudi Arabia or previously in Afghanistan.
Women are not allowed to be educated in parts of Pakistan.
Correct.
Women are not allowed to drive in Saudi Arabia.
Correct.
True or false? Drinking wine, you can receive flogging.
Yeah, somewhere in Sudan that will happen to you.
Paul, frightening stuff. We will have you back again. Thank you very much. That is the real story tonight.
Stop financing terrorism. Join Terror-Free Energy Coalition. Visit www.terrorfreeoil.org.